Welcome, everybody, at this Business Agility Boost. We are broadcasting from the Netherlands, so I would like to say good afternoon. But maybe you are from a different place of the world checking in today, and maybe you just started and grabbed your first cup of coffee, or you are already celebrating your weekend. Let us know where you come from in the chat. And I also would like to invite you, if you are here and have some questions for us already, then put them in the chat and we will address them. My name is Alice Hofmeester. I'm founder of Twingster, and it's my purpose to humanize business and create spaces where everyone is able to thrive. We do that with our consultancy and academy, but also LinkedIn is a great space to learn from each other, to share from each other, because creating the future and shaping the future of work is not something we can do on our own. And there is so much to learn from each other. So today we have, as a team in our Business Agility Boost, the theme communication in change. Because when we are starting a change or a transformation, whether it's big or it's small, not everyone is the same enthusiastic as I am or as you are. So how come and what can we do? So I'm super excited today that we have a special guest in our room. And I would like to invite Inge van Geffen. She is Communications Manager with KPN. Welcome, Inge.
Well, thank you very much, Alice. Welcome to you too, and happy to be here today with you.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here, as I know that you have a lot of experience in the field of change and change communications, an important theme. But maybe first, before we dive into the content, maybe first introduce yourself a bit more, because I do not know if everyone knows what the company is you are working for.
No, I'm working for KPN, and KPN is the largest telecommunications company in the Netherlands. I guess everyone knows where the Netherlands is, but that's no problem. What we do as a communication is connect people within our Dutch society and connect them to the internet to make sure that everyone can actually participate in the society, can enjoy gaming, can enjoy entertainment, can share emotions and feelings with each other, can work, can learn, and everything. Well, as what a telecommunications company does. And my job within KPN is communications. I work within the corporate communications department. And that department helps our board of management to get all their messages across, explain why we are doing what we're doing, and the way everyone can participate to make sure that KPN actually delivers on everything we promise.
Yeah, wonderful. Hey, and I can imagine in your role as communications manager, you have to deal with a lot of different stakeholders. And I also know, and you did not share that yet, but KPN has a wonderful purpose. And I know that you also have started a new campaign. It's a very recent introduced. And I think personally that it is very powerful, but it took a while to come there, right?
Yeah, it did.
Can you share a bit how you came this far? Because your purpose is also pretty new. You introduced a new strategy. I think you were involved also in the introduction of that, not only externally, but for example, also internally. So can you share a bit with us how you came to that purpose and how you created that together also with people in the organization?
Of course. A few years ago, KPN was struggling a little bit because, we used to be the largest telecommunications company owned by the government. We were still working from a copper infrastructure, and we were actually losing clients. Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, we made the bold decision to get into fiber connections for everyone. And that made a huge switch in the way the company was organized and the way we actually expose ourselves to the market. But it was not that everyone within KPN felt actually like we had made a change. So we decided we should try and create a new purpose so everyone within KPN is happy to work together to that point on the horizon and make sure that we all are on the same page.
Mhm.
The purpose of KPN is to go all out to connect everyone in the Netherlands to a sustainable future. And that implies everyone in the Netherlands, so everyone can participate. That implies connections, and bringing people together through the internet, but it also implies a sustainable future. And those three elements in that purpose actually are designed in a way that everybody working within KPN knows to which of the three, or sometimes all of the three, um, you're working for. And in the morning when you get up, I don't feel like, "Oh, I'm going to go all out today to make sure that everyone in the Netherlands is connected to a sustainable future." But in the end, by the end of the day, every day, I think, okay, so what did I do today to help people getting closer to that point on the horizon where we actually set that goal for ourselves? And
Mhm.
that is, that is the key in communications, is making sure that people know why they're doing it, because it helps them in moving closer, getting to that point, and making sure that they actually cooperate.
Mhm. And I think because personally I'm a great believer in having a purpose and having your values and principles clear. Um, but when you start such an endeavor, right? So you start with introducing the new purpose and the new values and principles. And yes, we want to get out of bed because of the purpose and that we can contribute to that. But when you first started, how do you approach? Because I can be enthusiastic about it, or you can be enthusiastic, but not everyone is
No,
enthusiastic immediately, right?
true. And of course, we always make the joke that we set a new purpose, print it on paper, hang it around the corporate offices, and then say, okay, from Friday, 3 o'clock on, everybody is engaged in the new purpose and is working within our new culture. But we all know that's not going to happen, because culture is something that changes over time. And I think within a culture, the best thing to do is repeat, 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 and repeat. And place everything that you do and that everything that you communicate in the perspective of the new purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, setting examples within an organization is very important. So each of our members of the board of management should actually tell and share why this purpose is so close to their heart, why they're taking, or going all out every day to make sure that we live and breathe this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to call it a Go Green program, because green is the brand color KPN is, and green
Yeah.
is also a sustainable color. Green is also the color of everything, we share and do. Um, and we made sure that through extensive communications campaigns, getting people involved, telling them why we're doing it, and explaining it over and over and over again, that they actually are starting to like it first. The first point is actually that they need to know why we're heading in that direction, and then they need to understand what their contribution is
Mm-hmm.
before they can actually act upon it and change their way of working.
Yeah, and that is something that also popped up in my mind. But you now say it also yourself. Change your way of working. Does it always entail a change of way of working when you start with introducing your purpose, your values, and principles?
Yeah, it depends on how you define your way of working. But
Mm-hmm.
if you want people to change and really make sure that that purpose is driving them to go to work, to do their work, and to make sure that they actually deliver on that purpose, yeah, I think it should be in their hearts. It should not
Yeah,
just be in their minds. It should be in their hearts, and
yeah,
they should be proud of everything they're doing, and that they're actually contributing to a better connected society.
yeah, yeah. And can you share some examples of what you then do? Because communication is a broad
It
word.
is. It
So it
is.
is, yeah, we communicate, but communicating can also mean just sending your message. But I think you do a lot of different things in
Yeah.
communicating change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, probably the first misunderstanding is that communication is about sending messages. And in my opinion, communications is more about listening. And it all starts with listening to your audience, which in my case is mostly KPN employees. Um, and listening to them is what makes them tick, and then making sure that everything you do actually makes them tick. And
Mhm.
sometimes communications can be a story on the intranet or sending an email out to saying, hey guys, this is important, please notice it. But it also is, as soon as you enter a KPN building, you see that you're entering a telecommunications company, that you're seeing screens, that everything is green, and it can be that easy by painting the walls green. And just to make sure, this is KPN green. So our walls in the office actually are bright, bold green.
Wow.
But as soon as you enter the building, you see that you're entering a green company where green is more than just a color. Green is the way we work, the way we do. Green is, well, everything to us, actually,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So it's involved in everything.
It's involved in everything. And I'm convinced that you cannot tell people enough what green means for you,
Mhm.
what green means for our management, what green means for everyone within the company. And well, we saw some changes along the past few years. People actually to start wear green
Mhm. Oh, wow.
because if we like a message, we keep sending each other green hearts. Thank God, green is one of the a green heart is one of the emoticons. But within the communications team, we start using green hearts or sharing some green stuff because,
Yeah.
well, it took some time, but in the end, I think KPM people are convinced that green is just more than a color. It's a way of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's nice. If you really can ingrain that into your DNA, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
and it's a matter in communications, it's a matter of consistency, but also repeating, 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 repeating. And every day, every communication that goes out, whether it's an email or anything, it should be green
Mhm.
and it should breathe green.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and you work with a lot of different stakeholders on all levels in the organization. So you already mentioned, when I start or when change is starting, communication is not about sending, but really about listening, stepping into the shoes of the receiver. Um, how do you do that for all kinds of different levels in the organization?
Well, it means a lot of targeting messages to specific people. White collar board management has a different, yeah, level of knowledge of things they need to know, but also a different interest. They're much more interested in figures and in percentages and other things.
Mhm.
While one of our mechanics who is coming to your door to fix your internet connection if it's not working, they don't care about figures and numbers. They care about how can I make my job easier? How can I make sure that my customer is happy when I leave the house and his internet connection is working? So it means listening to people what they think is actually important to them and tailor your messages to that one, but also the way you're bringing it across. So in the end, last year we finally had our first KPN festival, and that meant that all, well, it's 11 or 12,000 people were coming to one place, which was in our case the KNVB location in Zeist, because we're a proud sponsor of the Dutch Soccer Association, and we had a 2-day KPN festival, meaning that thousands and thousands of KPN people came together to celebrate the power of green. And sometimes it's sending out an email, sometimes it's organizing a festival, but that did so much. It was so much well received, and it worked so well for feeling actually that you're part of KPN and celebrating that together. And that
Yeah.
were mechanics, financial people, but also the people in our call centers or the representatives in our stores, all different kind of people together celebrating the power of green.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. And and you celebrate the power of green. But do you also, for instance, organize then sessions together with employees to get their feedback in? Besides that, a lot of organizations, let's put it that way, a lot of organizations ask feedback from employees
Yeah.
or input via surveys. But we all know what happens with surveys. They end up in the email, and at the end, you do not get a response, or you need to push really through. But
And the people that do respond are the ones that are either very happy or either very sad. And you want
absolutely,
and you
yeah,
want to have a cross section.
yeah,
Yeah, we do. For example, we have our CEO hosts. Well, it's a monthly call. Ask me anything, and it's
okay,
always about a specific subject. And
hmm,
well, next Monday it's about innovation, where everybody can send in their questions up front, and well, then we get them. It's a webinar because not everyone is in the same location. Everyone can send in questions and can ask him literally anything about that subject. So we already have, well, like 20 or 30 questions sent in, but also during the webcast, people can ask, well, like they can hear in the comments, they can leave their questions and he has them answered.
hmm,
Um, and that's quite a big thing. During the COVID times when everybody was working from home, which is, I guess, for every company, one of the biggest changes in the past few years, is that from Monday morning on, everybody was sent home and was working from home. And well, it was the best digital switch we could ever make, actually. But that also was in communications and in changing. It was very well, it were exciting times because
yeah,
it also meant that coming together was not an option. So you had to find other ways. And our CEO started blogging. He just went visiting specific parts of the organization just to show how we were coping with all the challenges that COVID gave us.
yeah,
And in the beginning, he was like, "Oh, why should I do that? All our employees, they knows how our company is run. They know what they're doing. They know how they're contributing." But during the way and after a few vlogs, he said, "I am learning so much about the way we work together and about our company because I see it from a different perspective. Someone
yeah,
normally in their line of management is just saying, no, everything is good, everything is good. Because if the king passes by, all the streets are cleaned, etc. If the
hmm,
CEO comes by, everything is running smoothly. But as soon as he has left the building, it's completely different. And by bringing him closer to people on the shop floors or people on the working floors, or even, well, to our customers at their homes, it meant that they're actually feeling how people are doing their job and how they're contributing to our overall goals.
yeah, wonderful. I
And
really
it's
love that.
it's
Yeah,
just one of the examples, but we
hmm,
had to convince him of doing that. Oh,
yeah.
you're back. We
Sorry.
had to we had to convince him of doing that, and we had to show him that this actually contributes to getting his message of why we're working in the way we are across to people. But it
Yeah,
worked. It
but
turned out.
that's also something that even with your stakeholders, people on the highest levels in the organization, they also feel kind of resistance or blockers or to do so.
They do, because most of the times, especially board members, they think everybody should already know why we're doing things. And
Hmm.
I said, yeah, I can imagine that because you've been working on transformational programs for years and years and years. And you have seen all these powerful PowerPoint presentations, why we're doing it, what it's delivering, what are the business advantages. And you've seen it like 10 or 20 times. But many people within the organization who are working as a mechanic at people's homes, they've never seen those slides. They don't know what's on there. So everything needs to be, you need to put everything in their perspective, saying this is your job and this is how it contributes to the overall goal, over and over and over again. And especially in times of change, I think it's very, very important um, to get all your employees along the way and start from the starting point each time again. This is our purpose. This is why we're doing what we're actually doing. This is why we're doing it. This is your contribution. And then the next step, what do you think of it? How can
Hmm.
you contribute and get them involved? So it's not only pushing, a top down, hey, we're changing this and we're doing it in this way and this is why we're doing it, but also bottom up.
Yeah.
If you get people involved, they feel like they actually have the power to contribute to changes and the way things are changed.
Yeah, yeah, and last week I had a change management boot camp, and the people side of change is always the most difficult one and underrated one, because we start to run, and I think the example what you give also from leadership, they sometimes do not realize that they are far ahead of the game and have far more information about what they are aiming for, and forget sometimes to really communicate and involve the employees. What do you do more for leadership? Because leadership needs to guide the people also through the change, and there are all kinds of different changes. But for instance, when the work is really impacted and roles are changing, how do you then guide the leadership in that and prepare them for their role, because it's a very important one. You cannot, as change communications manager, you are not the one who can do it for them. So how do you prepare them?
Yeah, well, I think preparation in that case is key, and it
Yeah.
really, really is key. Making sure that a leader tells the story in the way that is best received by the audience is really, really important, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression and to pitch your new idea. So it starts with listening again,
Mhm.
listening and understanding why a specific group of employees, or well, any audience at all, uh, what should be their most important takeout of sending a message across. And well, for many people, that's not business figures or anything. It's how does it help me in
Mhm.
making my work easier? How does it help me in being ready at 4:30 instead of 5 a.m. by the end of the day? How does it help me in not doing repetitive and boring tasks over and over and over again? Instead of my work is being automated and I'm being redundant. No, how does it help me? And how can I upgrade my work to get it to a better level and make it more interesting instead of just doing the same thing over and over again?
Mhm.
The role of communications is to help shape leaders those messages, to make sure that in the eye of the receiver, that is what I want to hear. And well, just to give you an example, we can
Yeah.
say, we're changing the way the organization is working from Friday morning on. Or we can say, hey guys, we need your input. We are thinking about changing the way we work together, but we want to know, how can you contribute? How can we help you in improving the way we work together? And I think old leadership is much more the first thing. And I just took
Mhm.
attitude to say it's quite strange to take this
Yeah, yeah.
attitude. In my opinion, old leaderships worked, and new leadership requires listening to people, co-creating things together, and making sure that you're as transparent as you can be, because you cannot always tell everything. But if you involve people in the process and you make them think and co-create things, they're much more willing and able to do and actually execute those changes.
Yeah, yeah, and then you also see more energy in the room, also
Much
from
more energy.
employees, right?
And I always use the example. You can say, hey, you're not working, you're not doing it right. You should change the way you work. Or you can say, I think we're able to make some improvements. Can you help me getting along and make those improvements so we both get the benefits of it?
Yeah, yeah, and that you together find new strategies and new ways, and yeah,
And
maybe
it
sometimes ways that you even did not imagine that could be possible.
upfront. No, true, true. And sometimes the best ideas come from the workforce and not from the management.
Yeah,
Sometimes it is that simple. And well, ideas made in the management board and pushed through all the way down to the actual work floor,
yeah,
they don't resemble the reality. And the
Yeah.
other way, well, it should be, we usually call it the hamburger model. So something should come from top down and something should come bottom up. And then we need the hamburger, which is in my case, most of the time communications, to make it stick and actually make it a nice hamburger. So
Yeah.
the middle layer should be involved in co-creating things top down and top down and bottom up, to make sure that it actually sticks with the people and that they actually feel that they're making an improvement and that they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, 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 and often people who really arrive at the homes or work in the homes of the clients, they also understand what clients need, right? So they can bring
Actually,
in the information from the clients. How do you bring in the other needs of clients? Because we're now talking about employees, because in change, most or often people are impacted. But you also would like to receive feedback from your clients to improve. For instance, your purpose is also, you also would like to attract your clients and do things related to your purpose. So how do you involve them in the things you are doing and your strategy you're aiming for?
yeah, well, KPN is quite a large company, so we do have specific budgets for that. And we
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we have peer groups. We do market research. Well, actually, we do a 360 feedback and input loop every day of the year. Sometimes qualitative research, sometimes quantitative research. But yeah, as I said, listening, it all starts with listening. What
Yeah.
do you need? What is the way that you actually um, feel like you're involved? And sometimes it's marketing research done by a research agency. Sometimes it's just listening to clients. As soon as you enter the call center of KPN, of course, you always hear the message, this phone call can be recorded for future use. So we do listen there. And actually, at this moment, we listen also with AI. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
well, that's one of the new techniques and one of the biggest changes of the last few times. Phone calls are recorded. They're how do you call it? Transponded into written text. And then Gen AI, we use Copilot by Microsoft for that, makes a summary so that each of the summaries of each of the calls is structured in the same way and can be compared together. And that also helps us a lot in learning to really understand what a customer wants and making sure that if 8 times this is the answer of a specific question, then the ninth and the 10th times, the call center agent is already instructed, hey, we've learned this. Maybe next time this is the best solution for you to go. And it helps in improving our customer
Yeah.
centric. Oh,
And AI is probably also a topic that really, is at
there
the
we are
beginning of
again.
your organization and will. What are you saying, Inge? Are we lost or not? Yeah, we still have connection. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay. And I can imagine this is just the beginning, with AI, and that we start to use that. But how is that perceived in the organization? Because that can also have an influence and impact on the way we work in the organization, right?
Yeah.
For people, how do they feel about that?
Well, the thing is, I think many people are scared of losing their job because of AI. AI is
Yeah.
taking over the job I'm doing at the moment. And I think, again, it's one of the hugest changes that will come up and one of the biggest transformation for the coming years. Um, so within KPN, we already started to make people aware, of the fact that our changes are coming ahead
Mhm.
and that it's affecting the way we work and the way they do their regular jobs.
Yeah.
But it also means that you need to make sure that the competences of the people and the knowledge they have really matches all the changes and the transformation that are coming along. So they need to be prepared instead of the systems they work with. the things they do within their jobs to work within those systems.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's I think it's one of the biggest changes, and we should make sure that they don't see it as a threat, but see it as an opportunity.
Mhm.
Like I just mentioned, repetitive work. I guess no, well, probably some people, but most of the people don't like doing repetitive jobs and doing the same over and over again.
Yeah.
So we can automate some of our processes, and then we tell our people that means that the part of your job you don't like, you don't need to do it anymore. But it also means that with a greater power comes a greater responsibility. So you need to be monitoring your processes, and you need not to be working in the process, but working on improving the process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you turn that around, people are more likely to be able and to be adaptive for making those changes.
Yeah. And are you already experimenting with that so that people also experience that it's not that they are losing their job, but that parts of their work, which is repetitive,
Well,
that
we have to, yeah, we
yeah.
have to. And KPN has been using AI for years and years
Hmm.
in several ways. For example, understanding our customers better, but also to make sure that the ever growing streams of data flow through our network in an optimized way.
Yeah, and if you are experimenting with that, and probably you are already in the next stage, but how do you then? Because that could also be if you share those experiments and how people experience that in the organization, that can also create more awareness for other people in your organization, right? So that they not only are aware, but also get a desire, hey, maybe this can also help me in my way of working.
Of course, and their communications also plays a big role because sharing successes and sharing use cases, things we learned, things we did, might be very inspiring for people. Hey,
Yeah.
we see that in this department, we use AI for that and that and that. And if you share those stories and you share what you've learned, because sometimes it also, well, it doesn't not work very well in every time you try it, but also learning from failure is one of the things that we also share to make
Mhm.
sure that for the next time that we try and do something and we make some changes, that we know what we learned from it and we don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. So
But
you got kind of
sharing stories and learning from each other is very, very important, of course.
yeah. Hey, and there was a question from George Lellis. He asked, how can we ensure a top-down and bottom-up alignment in agile delivery environments? You already shared a bit about the top-down and the bottom-up approach. But I think what is interesting is to ensure that you continuously have that kind of approach, that you do not fall back. How do you do that within KPN? Or maybe you have an example from another organization you worked with?
Yeah, well, we do that. We have, of course, agile delivery environments as well within KPN because we develop and build our own solutions, services based on the platforms we use. And George, I agree. It's a little bit more difficult because you don't have line management, but of course, people still work in teams. So sometimes it's just communicating to the whole agile delivery society, yeah, department, or to all of the teams and the hubs and the Scrum teams, and well. I was thinking, where did I start? Um, yeah, it's sometimes it's more difficult in less structure or in another way than top down, bottom up. But in the end, it all works down within the Scrum teams.
Yeah, and in KPN you also work with an agile organization of teams, so
Within our
self-organization. Is
development
it
team.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
KPN is servicing customer clients as well as B2B
Mhm.
clients. And well, we have a B2B services department and a B2C solutions department, and they both build the services and the solutions for those customers. And those are completely working in agile ways because they're developing software. And the
Yeah.
same goes for our data office.
Yeah.
Just works in
And
a different way, but
yeah. And does that also influence your role, for instance? Do you also work in an agile way, or I can imagine that it's when you in one part of the organization work in an agile way and in another part not, then maybe you have a different way of approaching change. I don't
yeah,
know.
of
Is
course.
this the
Yeah, of course.
question?
Because in the agile teams we work with coaches, and
Mm-hmm.
communications is done mostly through the people line, through the coaches, because the coaches see everyone in all the different teams
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis, and then we use them as our, well, mouth and ears. While in the departments where we work in a line management model, we mostly use the managers to
Yeah.
trickle communications down. So yeah, it's a different way of working, but for the communications department, it just means different spokes, different single points of contact within the organization.
Yeah.
But the way of working is more or less the same.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, and when you look back, you are already helping organizations for a long period of time in change communication, and every organization has a different approach, and along the way you get more experienced. But do you have an example of leading a change, or from your perspective, so being part as in change communication, where you thought, wow, there we did something really not in the right way, or we failed, and how did you manage to change that approach? What did you learn from that? Is that something you can share?
Yeah, but I'm thinking what should be the best example, because I think you learn probably even more from failure than you do from doing something in the right way.
Yeah.
I used to work for a really technical organization a few years ago, and everything there was just top-down management, organizing. Well, if we wanted to make a change, we were organizing town hall meetings and
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah.
sending messages. And we did those town hall meetings every quarter, over and over again. But we actually never listened to the target group of what were they receiving our messages, what did they think of them, do they actually understand what they need to do, and what changes they need to make in their daily work on a regular basis. We never did that.
Yeah.
And then by the end, you have your yearly how do you call it, employee representation survey, to listen what people think, well, to actually use that as input for all the town hall meetings. And we in the end found out that no one ever understood what we were saying, because it was too much white collar. It
Mm-hmm.
was not on the same level as they were expecting it to be. They just did not understand the messages, and that helped us. That helped me a lot in my personal career to first start listening. And when you enter a new a new office or an organization, or start working in a new department, the first, well, let's say 100 days, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just listening, 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 listening.
Yeah. So that's maybe also an advice for everyone to do,
I
eh?
think it's an advice for everyone. Well, in every change you want to make, start listening what people think of the actual organization and the actual way you're doing it right now. Also, to make sure that it's not just a top-down push, we need to make those changes, but also getting them involved in the changes and how to make them.
Yeah. So there, it's also not only sharing the content, but also the process, how to move from one to other to for instance, if a role is changing, what is then the process going forward?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we sometimes, or I sometimes use a change process, use the example of a change process, like it's, well, there is a big tunnel, and at the end we see the light of the tunnel where we need to go. And communications and change can be done in two ways. Or we
Hmm.
can share the light at the end of the tunnel and tell people that the light is perfect and that we're actually going there, and people are like, I want to go there. I want to go there. That's one way you can do it, and the other
Mhm.
way is just start pushing people through the tunnel to reach the end of the light.
Yeah.
Well, and you can imagine in already in the way I'm telling it, which way works best. And making the promise and telling them what the advantage for people themselves is and the benefits that they can see and use by reaching the end of the tunnel, that is a completely different way of communicating and a completely different way of driving change instead of forcing them to go through the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really the human-centric approach that that helps to achieve the change, but it takes a long time, right, to really see the changes and yeah, what you're aiming for. We got another question or two questions, but it's more related to OKRs, and I'm not sure if you work with OKRs, but
Of
I
course.
can imagine that everyone, also you, measure how you are successful. Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, we
How do you
can.
do that?
And it's always different if you manage OKRs for communications
Hmm.
and changes, or if you manage OKRs for, well, business results. And I think communications is always contributing, or should be always contributing to reaching um, business results. Um, but I think what we do is manage those in, well, several different ways. I just mentioned the employee survey we're sending out.
Yep.
Yeah, twice a year within KPN, and that includes engagement, involvement, belief in our strategy, belief in our board of management, and also, are you happy or not? Are you experiencing stress in your work? So it's on different levels. And twice a year we do that with all employees. And well, I think we have a survey feedback of around 82%. So
Wow.
that that's rather high. Probably it's also because some of our, well, managers are driving and making sure that everybody fills in the survey. But we also do that on a regular level with, well, monthly meetings and surveys on a much more smaller scale, of course.
Hmm.
That helps uh, um, in measuring if we see any change in knowledge, attitude, and in actual behavior over time. Yeah, and of course, we should see those growing. And if not, well, we should make sure that we communicate more or on a different level or on a different way to
Yeah.
make sure that we actually get those messages across.
Yeah. Yeah. Because sometimes you also hear in organizations, yeah, we give feedback, but no one is doing something with it. So you are really working on, hey, if we see that the level becomes lower, what can we do, and how can we really also give back what we do with it? Do you hear me?
Yeah, I do, but I
Okay.
don't know if I lost the connection or that you did. But
No, no, no. But you also have that real feedback loop, that you also give back to the people what you are doing with it. Because otherwise, if you do not give
yeah,
back what you
and
do
it's
with the surveys, then probably people, you can push to fill them out. But yeah, what is
that's
then the
always
quality, yeah, of the survey?
and that's always the hardest part, because if people keep on telling us and giving us feedback that they experience too much stress,
Hmm.
can communications team, well, we can share that with the management, but they need to make some changes, and
Yeah,
we just provide them with the input on that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, and maybe a last question. Um, what is something you really, if people who are listening now, and whether you are a communications manager or have a different role in a transformation or in a change process, what is something you would give them as a last advice?
Next to start with listening, of course,
Hmm.
always try to make sure that your message is consistent and that everything that you share with the community is always put in the perspective of in the bigger picture perspective. So each of the messages we share on the KPN intranet called Team KPN ends with, and this is how it fits within our purpose, and this is how it fits within our strategy, and this is how this contributes to our objectives of making your work more easy, or making more money, or being more sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. So every time also make the links to
Every
a
time make
bigger
the link.
picture, where you are working for, how you can contribute, so that people also understand how the work they are doing is aligned with that purpose and with that goal you want to achieve.
Yeah, and that it's reinforcing that they're doing the good thing, and it
Yeah.
contributes, that it actually contributes to the reaching the overall objective,
Yeah.
because that makes people feel good
Yeah.
about themselves, but also about about their jobs, and it makes them proud of what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's also a continuous process. Communication never stops, right?
Communications never stops, and well, one of the examples we all have used, I guess, many times in within the communications field is that the guy working for the NASA was sweeping the floor in the
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, "What are you actually doing?" And he was saying, "I'm helping to get a man to the moon."
Yeah.
And I hope that every KPN employee is saying, "I'm working and I'm going all out to connect everyone in the Netherlands, not leaving some single soul behind, to a sustainable future."
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, and well, that's what driving me and gets me to work every day.
Yeah, well, that's a wonderful purpose, Inge,
It
and
is.
um, and thank you for sharing your experiences, the things you are doing within KPN, but also, yeah, the things you learned from, the failures you made, and how you learned from it to improve. Um, where can people find you if they have still questions? Of course, they can still add comments underneath the replay later on. But where can people find you if they have questions and they want
I
to
think
call?
the easiest way is just to send me a PM through LinkedIn, because I think you tag me in your message, and
Yeah, sure.
just send a PM, and I'm
Yeah,
more than happy to answer, more than happy to help out, and more than happy to, well, share insights and learn from each other.
okay, wonderful. And thank you for being here today, Inge. And thank you, everyone who listened, watched, where you are today. I would like to thank you for joining us and for asking your questions. And please, if you have questions later on, do not hesitate and reach out to Inge or to me via DM or in the comments. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.